Hello, and welcome to the UA podcast. This is our Symbols of Peace series, and we're going to run through some quick events and current events with you as well from the past week or so of the My Hero Academia CCG. So, Ryan, what kind of things have been going on this week?
So far this week, the only real thing that I've seen going on is the Plus Ultra Pack B tier kits are starting to hit the stores. So that'll be
Okay.
all your set of 12 promos with a bunch, like 5 characters, 5 attacks, a foundation, and an action, right? Am I
Uh,
breaking that down correctly?
is there an action?
Plus Ultra.
Oh, yeah, there is an action. Yeah, there
It's
is.
the
Yep.
name of the pack, in fact.
Yeah.
So
I'll be
I think
honest,
that's
I've never looked at it all the way broken down by card type. I've exclusively
yeah.
just looked at the cards, if that makes sense. So,
So I think that's
yeah.
right. I think there's 5 characters, 5 attacks, 1 action, and 1 foundation. So all
Yeah.
those are exclusive promos to those Plus Ultra packs. I think they'll be added to Redemption later, but if you haven't made it out to your local game store yet to go pick those up in some tournament play, get out there and get you some free cards.
Right, and just for some clarification for everyone, when he refers to like if you purchase like the unit B or package B or whatever, that's for your store. So the way Asmodee sold My Hero initially was in like a package A and a package B. Package A was like if you ordered like the big pre-release kit that had all the playmats and all that other sort of stuff, is my understanding. And then B was just if you ordered basically the normal release kit, like anything that was just that first edition release from there. And so that's the distinction that they then use to also determine when Plus Ultra packs became available. So if you ordered the package A, they were available like a week earlier than if you ordered the package B. And I don't know if that's like intentional that they staggered it, or if it was just like they were trying to fulfill things and it just took an extra week for them to fulfill all of them. That I don't know. But
Yeah.
I know from talking to our local shop and then also from some of the things that you've seen, on the Jaffa and other places that seems to check out, and that seems to be what's going on. So ours are showing up soon, hopefully. Our stores told us that, so I'm real excited for that as well because we're growing a local scene, and we need to get some promos, get some people in the stores.
And we need those Plus Ultras, baby.
Yeah, we all need like 1,000,000 Plus Ultras. That's true too. Yeah, at least 4 apiece, but we'll work on that.
Yeah. But outside of that, no other current events that I can think of. The Joffice had some things pertaining to their other properties.
Okay.
Some board games and stuff they're working on, miniatures, yada
Sure.
yada. But as far
More
as
of
the
the MHA
MHA,
stuff.
yeah, MHA stuff, it was kind of light.
Okay.
And honestly, I guess that's a good segue into we're down to our last 2 episodes of content for the Symbols of Peace series. Speaking of
Yeah.
light on content, we have some ideas for some stuff we're planning on doing going into the new year. But we were kind of just want to get everyone's feedback on anything you would like to see us do through the new year on the podcast. So, like I said, we have some ideas on stuff we want to do, but we really want to get stuff out that you guys want to see. So if there's anything that you can think of that we haven't done or you'd like to see us do on our podcast in video form, or even like written articles for our website and stuff, just drop those in the comments below and just let us know.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, like, so the way we currently do stuff is we try to release, about 3 things a week or so. We do either like a blog or a stream at some point. We try to do every week we have the podcast where we talk about a symbol currently. And like I was saying, we're going to look to expand that into other things because we're going to run out of symbols soon. We'll probably reevaluate. I think one thing we're talking about doing is going back and reassessing our initial tier list because there's definitely been some shakeup there. I'll be the first to tell you I got some wrong. But
Spoilers, Nomu
yeah.
is S tier now.
No, we're not going that far. But and then also, we're going to be looking into the new year into kind of like launching some different things. So we want to make sure that the content we're providing is the content that you enjoy. So, if you do enjoy our stuff and you're listening to it and you like it, please hit that subscribe, that follow, check out our Facebook, make sure to check out our website. It's got kind of like a hub for all of our content. We got cool classes. We got more of those coming out for sure. So, we just want to make sure, like Ryan was saying, that the stuff we're giving you is the stuff that you want. So if you can either leave a comment or, a comment on a video here at YouTube or a comment on Facebook or anywhere where we post on social media, Discord, whatever it may be. That's something we're looking into as well. We were considering trying to launch a Discord and seeing maybe if our community wanted to gather up there. So lots of things in the works that we have ideas for, but it's for you guys anyway. So just let us know. And we appreciate your support already and look forward to getting to know you and providing you more content.
Yep, and to make it easy for you, all the links to all of our stuff will be in the description of the video and the description of the podcast wherever you're listening, so you can get to our YouTube, our Facebook, yada yada, and you can leave your comments or suggestions there. All right, so I think that's all for current events. So I guess we're going to get into this week's symbol. So we'll see you guys on the other side.
See ya.
Welcome back, everybody. We are talking about the air symbol this week. We're going to give you a quick breakdown of some characters. Well, not some characters, all the characters that have air. Their attacks and foundations and everything that goes with it. With you, as always, I'm your host, John Jennings, and we got my co-hosts, Ryan Kraft and Matt Childress. How are we doing today, guys?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Matt, what's up?
Not much, man. I'm doing well. Doing well. How you guys doing, y'all? Y'all having a good day so far?
Well, yes. Oh,
Joey's
John.
in the room, so you know it's good up in there.
It's a good day.
Sorry, I just realized that the door was open because Joey had not left it open.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It's the weather's finally better. It's been raining constantly down here in South Carolina, so it's nice to not have that actively raining right now.
I can't believe you haven't trained Joey to shut the door when he comes in the house. Just
please.
I'm right there with you on the weather. Like I hadn't actually looked outside yet today until now, but I can see in your window that's looking nice. So that's a nice change of pace because it's been raining for the past few days. It's no good, but yeah, man, I'm super pumped because I got to play some cards yesterday, so that was awesome, and got to play all but like one of my decks that are built, so that was a lot of fun. Had a whole bunch of people come up locally to some from out of town and stuff, just to kind of hang out and play. So it was really cool. Feeling good, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was out there too for a while, and kind of on brand. Talking about this episode today, I had a Conway Woods air deck that was a lot of fun to play.
Nice.
Yeah. So speaking of that, let's get right into these characters. So from the core set or the base set, we've got 5 characters. I guess technically 6 if you want to count Conway Woods. He's in the quirk packs, but you get him from the core set. He doesn't have support and that kind of stuff, but he's in there. And then we've got All Might 3, which is in the Plus Ultra packs, and we've got the Uraraka 2 in the DLC packs. We've got a good variety of characters here. We got one of every hand size, basically. We got 5, 6, and 7. And it's kind of a good even spread of kind of like big beefy characters like that Uraraka to, you got your 720s. I got a couple of those in there as well. Just gut reactions to to air characters. What do you guys think about them? Where are they in like a tier of characters as a symbol?
Why don't you kick us off, Matt?
Sure. I think the air symbol's totally fine. I have not built an air deck yet, but I use a lot of air cards and a lot of other decks. So I imagine that when I combine them all together to make one deck with air, it's probably going to be pretty all right. Are we specifically talking about as far as the air characters, like which ones I like or don't like preference-wise?
Yeah, if you think what's your like, I'm gonna make an air deck. I'm starting with this character. What's it gonna be?
Well, I guess I would have to say right now it's the All Might 3 because I do actually have him built, but it's just not off of air. Okay. However, I don't think he's actually like the air character I would build. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
I'm only saying that because I do have that deck built. It's just off a different symbol. Sure. Same thing with Asui. And I think she's actually a really good air character probably because air always has wanted to kind of clear its card pool and do shenanigans there, and she does that, and she's really good. But I don't know. I'd probably go with either Kaminari or Jiro if I was going to build just a pure air deck. I'm pretty excited for some of the DLC cards to come out, and I want to build a air Jiro at that point because there's some cool stuff you can do there with some of the new Uraraka cards. So I'd go Jiro or Kaminari.
Yeah, for me, I love all the air characters, man. Like air as a symbol is just kind of my jam. I love what air does. I know in the past order was my jam because I like to stun people out all the time. But the more I play the game, I just love I love the things the air does, man. You get speed, momentum, yada yada. And now we do have characters that are also stun air characters that do things. So I can play Kaminari if I wanted to. But if I was just building a deck, I do already have an air deck built, and it's Uraraka. And it's really fun, man. You get to throw, stun attacks over and over at people. You loop them and make Matt angry by throwing 1.3 million volts 7 times every game.
That indiscriminate shock.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then
It does not care.
It does not care. But yeah, like
Nope.
every single air character that I have seen so far, I actually really like all of them.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of in the same boat. The only air deck I've actually built was, as I mentioned, is that Kamui Woods deck. But I feel like any of these characters are, you can play them differently. Like you can make like a good combo. You can make like a good air, like just straight aggro deck. You can make a good mid range deck. You can make a good defensive deck with any of these characters, and I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know that you can do that with all the symbols we have right now. As far as differences from old UFS to this, as far as like what the symbol used to do, I feel like air used to be kind of like a momentum shenanigans deck. Is that kind of what you guys remember about old UFS air, or at least back when I played? I feel like it was a lot of like
It's like
yeah,
speed
cards like
reduction.
whereabouts unknown, things that kind of stuff.
It's like speed reduction, multiple stuff, right? Didn't it kind of do a lot of that, Matt?
No, I mean like carpool clearing and some momentum stuff, but like readying cards is normally a very air mechanic.
Okay.
And clearing your carpool, like to me, those are the two that you'd see probably the most consistently if you looked over. To your point, though, because it has momentum shenanigans normally as well, that leads to multiples or to other momentum dump type attacks. But yeah, I mean, like someone like a Bakugou who just gets to clear attacks and all, like that's a very air type mechanic. I even when that Gen Con promo or demo deck Bakugou came out, like I built him off air in standard, and it was totally playable. It wasn't that great, but it was totally playable. Like it wasn't trash. So he kind of embodies that element of it, and I think Kaminari generating a whole bunch of momentum. I mean, that's kind of always been an air thing as well, or Uraraka, momentum shenanigans as well.
Yeah. As far as like the old UFS kind of stuff versus this one, was there like an air character kind of like both of the Urarakas who were like trying to loop the same attacks from their momentum, or is that a newer aspect? Do you think that they've kind of?
Oh no, that's definitely something that's not necessarily a character. Like Zoe would be the character from old UFS. Like she looped things so well she got banned. Like there was a worlds where literally out of but for diversity, I want to say like out of the top 16, 15 of them were Zoe or something crazy. It wasn't literally quite that bad, but she was over 50%. Yeah, she was way too efficient, and she just looped stuff is what she did. So
okay, cool. Well, it's
definitely consistent there.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. And I mean, also just kind of feels accurate to Uraraka as a character, right? She's kind of like floating things up and pulling them down as she needs them. So I like that.
It's a cool design for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I will say, and I kept finding myself saying it playing yesterday as well, is like the design to capture the theme of these characters and like their quirks or how they actually are in combat it's still just really good. Like there's only a couple characters I think that they missed the mark in my opinion. All the others are like spot on. Like I couldn't think of a better way to have done it. And I love MHA.
I think that's something we brought up during our like very first podcast too when we were doing our class rankings. Like, just great job on all the theme stuff. I think it's really good.
Yeah, and that's held true, now 2 months out and actually like playing with the characters, right? Like we were just looking at all the cards and we hadn't got to actually play and we're like, oh yeah, that seems kind of accurate. There's another, but like, what was it? There was one game I was playing yesterday where I realized like, oh yeah, because it's like this. It might have been when I was playing against the Midoriya stuff. And it was very accurate to how Midoriya tries to get by in season 1. Like he's just making a bunch of guesses and then at any given moment he just might randomly explode you, and that's exactly how that character plays. So it's pretty cool.
That's good. I mean, like Kaminari, like he's in the show, like he can use all his powers at once, and if he does, then he's just kind of like left stupid, right? He's short circuited, and he's got the really powerful once per game ability, and after that he still can do some stuff, but it's like you're really just kind of holding back on him to pop that one thing, and then you got to try to survive it, right?
Oh, man, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow, right?
One of the ones
got hurt once. Damn, is it?
One of the ones I didn't quite understand until I guess more recently was Jiro being like her theme, but I guess she's like using sound waves to like see what's under the surface.
Yeah, she's absolutely. Yeah, she's supposed to be scouting out and figuring out what the next things are going to happen are. And I guess she's supposed to be kind of just like amplifying either her
The
charge or
attacks,
weapon
yeah.
attacks by using sound as well, because like she doesn't directly do that, but like I still think it's the idea of it being on charge and weapon attacks is what is more thematically appropriate for her there, because like she has to use weapons, or maybe even she uses her boots as the weapons kind of thing,
Mhm.
So
Well, and Momo makes her the sword, right? That's the
she does it in the was it the USJ fight? Yeah, there at the end.
because that's a lot of her attacks and stuff are weapon themed. She has the sword or whatever.
Mhm.
Obviously, gets that from Momo.
Yeah.
So it maybe in future Jiro, if we get like another Jiro down the line, maybe she won't have like a weapon theme or something, but she'll keep the charge theme probably. So yeah,
Yeah.
I could see her losing the all symbol on like a future version, because that's like kind of the weapon symbol, right? So
Yeah. And
I could see that.
one thing, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this before, so I won't waste time on it, but like it seems like for every character, not just like one or two, from looking at the DLC, they're keeping two symbols the same on each version of the character, and they're rotating the third symbol, which is really cool. So like even when you look at like Uraraka, she has air and chaos on her DLC and her core set one, right? You look at all the All Mights from the set; they all have all and good on them, and then the third symbol rotates, which that's really cool, because what's going to happen if they keep that up is that as you get further in sets, that character is just going to have a huge kit. Like there are cards designed for versions of that character, which means they're probably going to be pretty similar enough that they can, excuse me, interact with each other pretty well. So like you may not have to borrow cards like you do right now from other characters' kits eventually, which would be kind of cool.
Well, do you guys have any other overarching thoughts or comments you want to make about the characters before we go ahead and move on and jump into some attacks and foundations?
No, I think
Um,
I covered everything that I wanted to.
yeah, I mean, like, I think honestly, I don't think there's a bad air character, which I don't know if I've said that for any other symbol that I've been a part of.
Yeah.
Like, and I think you can also make the argument that on most of these characters, you can make the argument that air might be their best symbol. It's definitely not their worst symbol.
Yeah.
That seems very unlikely. Actually, that's not true. I'd say that All Might. I'd say air is his worst symbol. But watch me be so wrong.
Well, it's because of the Fury or Punch thing, right? There's not a whole lot of Fury or Punch air attacks yet.
Right. You get the Bakugou stuff basically because it's Fury.
So it kind of pigeonholes you. But yeah, all right. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about some attacks and foundations and the one asset. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Universes Academy podcast. Talking about the air symbol this week. We're going to get back at you with some attacks and foundations. First up, we got some attacks. Going through the attacks, first up, looking at Kaminari's attacks. One attack that really stands out to me, this was a hard choice, I guess, for me between Electric Jolt and Indiscriminate Shock. I love both these cards. I think I lean Indiscriminate Shock just because I think it has it's more universal. You can use it in pretty much any deck that has these symbols, unless you're going for a specific like theme, like you're going for like an Ida Order kick deck or something like that. You might not play this. But I feel like it's gonna kind of slide into really anybody that has these symbols, because like maybe you're playing like Todoroki Chaos. Well, this attack has ranged on it, so it fits right into his ranged package if you want to run it with that. It's got charge, it's got stun. It is a 5 difficulty, but this attack can easily do like up to 10, 12 damage with one foundation commit.
Yeah.
It's
well, you don't even have
attack.
You don't even have to commit anything for the damage. That's just free.
Yeah.
You can get that for free, son.
Yeah. But you get that extra one, with this enhance on it. Ryan, what are your thoughts about Kaminari's attacks?
I'm right there with you, man. I love Indiscriminate Shock. It's in my air deck that I play. It's really fun to play. It's fun to throw big damage attacks that stun things. That's a fun mechanic for the person doing it. It's not fun for the person receiving it. But also I like Electric Jolt a lot too. Just having targeted committal out of your momentum is really it's awesome. And the ability for it to almost always deal damage and almost automatically go to your momentum is pretty solid.
Yeah. Also, Electric Jolt's a really good target for charged up. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Just because any attack that has like a momentum ability that we can use it for momentum. If you add it to your momentum, no matter where it goes in face up, and so that's just real good to have that on kind of on a stick to just get it back in there. Matt, what are your thoughts on Kaminari's attacks?
Yeah, I think Indiscriminate Shock is his MVP. And for the reasons that you guys said, I mean, just by itself, I mean, this card is a 5 difficulty, 3 check, off zone attack. So being a low attack, and it does 7 damage for a 5 check. Like, that's just using its abilities, assuming they haven't committed anything else. And it just snowballs from there, whether you're looping it or whether you're just playing it at the end of a chain and kind of going all in. Like, it's an alternate kill condition card. My biggest gripe, and I've been saying this for a long time, is that damage buff should have been capped at like 5 or something like that, like doubling the attack. Okay, sure. But the fact that it's not capped, this card's nuts. It's super good. If you're not playing this card already in your decks, put it in there. You will not regret it. Like, you may not need 4, you might put 3, but you shouldn't have less than 3, I don't think, in a deck.
It's also a good low block itself. Obviously, you'd rather play it as an attack, but as I've seen a couple decks pop up that are only low attacks, and there aren't a whole lot of good low blocks in this set. So this card fills that niche quite nicely.
Yeah, have you guys talked about the idea of like zone stacking yet in any of the pods?
No, I think
Not
we talked about it privately, like, in our text chain, in our like messenger text chain, but it's not come up on the pod.
No.
I was just curious because it might be something worth approaching at some point to kind of just enlighten people about that, because it is a thing that sometimes people do when they build decks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I will say just one quick thought on Blitz Rush. I think it is interesting, the enhance on it. Ryan has pointed this out before, that it essentially has powerful 2, but you don't have to spend the momentum, which is kind of crazy. That's just kind of another neat little aspect of that card. Let's see. Next up we have Bakugou, and man, got a lot of good choices here with Bakugou. If I'm looking at cards, he's got a lot of obviously really powerful attacks. I think my MVP card, though, is one of his lower damage attacks, and it's Signature Right Swing. We just talked about having good low blocks, so +1. It is a high tech, but also just the card cycling, especially for a character like Bakugou, who doesn't have the 7 hand size. Being able to cycle through your foundations, some of which also have triggers when you discard them, is just super clutch. I will say you do have to watch out for the enhance, though. If you're playing against a Todoroki or someone that has Night Watch, you got to be careful, because discarding 2 cards is the cost of the enhance. So if they have like some kind of negation sitting out there, you got to be careful not to just walk into that, because then you just discard 2 cards for no reason.
Yeah, that wouldn't feel too good.
Yeah, that feel pretty bad. If I had to pick a second card, let's see. I think I would lean towards Instant Explosive Release, just because I have a soft spot in my heart for this card. I love 3 damage attacks because they're fun to throw at the end of things, and just like kind of like your opponent's like, I don't really want to necessarily block this attack, but it creates bad scenarios for your opponent if they don't block your first attack every turn, because a lot of times your opponent, especially if it's a lower damage attack, you're like, I'll just kind of eat this one. Maybe I've got like a bigger amount of health. And they don't realize it, but they've just then triggered your win condition, because you can use Instant Explosive Release for instant momentum and play like a home run comet or something like that. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Bakugou's attacks?
Yeah, so obviously the 2 that you just talked about, I love a lot. Instant Explosive Release, I'm there with you on the snap momentum gen stuff. It's really nice. But outside of those, I think Matt will probably agree on I'll just throw Blast Rush Turbo out there. I think Blast Rush Turbo is bonkers. Speaking of things that just maybe should have had a cap on the amount of damage they can do. Good lord.
Difference is this cost of momentum, which is a real cost versus a no cost. But you're not wrong. It does a lot of damage.
It does, yeah, I mean, it does cost momentum. But I mean, I guess the cost of Indiscriminate Shock is you're at your opponent's discretion on how much damage you're going to get out of it. If they don't have like, if
you stun them out. They didn't choose that life.
Well, you're not throwing a 5 difficulty attack at the end of your turn after you stun them out, though, most of the time. But regardless,
yeah. But if they check fully at all, like I mean, like the backswing is real either way, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I said minimum. It's 7 damage.
Right.
With nothing else.
But yeah, so Blast Rush Turbo, I mean, it's a 5 low for 8 out of the box for free, essentially. And I mean, if you get the
And some
momentum
characters
mobility
do.
online, it comes out live for a lot of damage.
Oh yeah,
So I think I'd pick that one. I like West Rush Turbo.
yeah.
Matt.
I mean, all those cards that you guys named are very good. This is where I'm gonna jump on my. We talked about theme earlier.
Mhm.
Signature right swing should have punch on it. I cannot. I mean, it's literally a right swing. Like, and if it did, it opens up the Relentless Barrage combo off of Death a little bit more, which would have been really cool for Bakugou. Like, I don't know. Anyway, but that card's very good. And to your point, it fixes 6 hand size aggro problems by letting you filter cards. And I think the one that you guys haven't talked about that I think is just in a vacuum nuts is Long Lasting Explosion. The stats on this card are stupid. Like, it's a 5 diff, 3 check again, 5 speed mid, 5 speed just printed on this thing casually, doing 6 damage. Oh, it also has a +2 mid block, so a really good block. And then it buffs your next high attack speed by 3 or your next mid attack's damage by 3 for free. This card's insane. Like even like raw stats. You can just run this in a deck, and it's just gonna make your attack turns better. Because when they sit down and they look at a 5 speed mid for 6, and assuming you have nothing else in play, you don't use Bakugou as a character, you didn't use Ida as a character, anything else. Like, if you add any stats to this card, it's insane. It's gonna come across for 8+ speed and 8+ damage kind of casually without spending any resources, and you check to 5. Like, this card kills people. So that was one that I would make sure is on people's radars if I were going to pick one that isn't one you guys mentioned already, because you guys have been preaching the Instant Explosion release since week 1, and I currently have a Fire Bakugou deck that I've been playing, and it's a 3 or 4x in it, and the card is very good. And I'm right there with you on all those things you said as far as why that card's very good as well. So yeah. I also, Bakugou is one of my favorite characters though, so I am super biased here. I'll fully acknowledge that.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like that feeling when you're playing Instant Explosive Release and your opponent just eats the first attack. You're like, oh shit, you fucked up so bad.
You don't know.
Fucked up so bad. I'm coming for you.
Dude, yesterday teaching people that lesson, and they took it to heart because they saw later when they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, this Nitro Explosion Ignition sure is going to give me 2 momentum for free, regardless of whether you block this or not.
Also, it's the other free enhanced. If it deals damage, your next attack deals +2. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Again, he kind of has this theme of like, my next attack is a little bit better because of this attack, which is a cool idea.
It's the snowball effect that he kind of does, where he's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
I
will say one last quick thought on Bakugou. I think he has maybe the most sideboardy card ever printed that I've seen in Exploding Pride. Like, it's a solid card on its own, but you're like, oh man, if I'm playing against like an air or chaos deck, we slamming this card into the deck because you just burn them out, and it's it's a low attack. So I know.
Yeah. I highlighted that card in that Death Shigaraki list that we posted before. Like, that card's like you said, sneaky good.
Yeah.
And if you just want to play you're fine. The all low attack lineup is just the main deck card.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And all right, I would be remiss if I didn't say Howitzer Impact. That card is also way better than you think it is. You see a 6 diff on it, it's never a 6 diff. It's a 4 diff. That's a 4 low doing 6. That's really a 6 low doing 6 on a 4 diff. So
+1 high block.
Treat yourself.
Yep.
I saved that card for you to talk about, and you didn't even talk about it. I skipped it.
I know. Well, so like, it was one of those things that like, neither of you talked about Long Lasting Explosion also, and I'm like, this card's nuts too. Like I said, I'm super biased. Like, I want to play all these cards. There's like 2 Bakugou attacks that I don't normally put in a list.
So what we've established is that pretty much all the Bakugou attacks are really solid. They're good.
Yeah, he's a pretty aggressive character, so it makes sense that his attacks would be good.
Yep. And being a starter deck character, I'd kind of hope most of his attacks are solid.
Yeah.
Works out that. Moving on to Jiro. Obviously, she's not a starter deck character, so we only have 4 attacks to talk about. I feel like I really want Unwavering Slash to be better than it is right now. I think it's a really good card, but it is so asset dependent that like you have to go all in. Like, I'm going to play 4 copies of Earphone Jack, or I'm playing maybe 6 foundations because I'm playing Momo, and you're playing Quick Creation and this or something, and Earphone Jack or something.
What do you want this card to be, John? It's already insane.
It is
like
insane.
What do you want to make it better?
To not be a mid attack, maybe.
Wait, which attack? I'm sorry.
Unwavering slash.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. I was like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I want this. I guess I wish it were just slightly better.
you wish it was a 4 diff, probably.
Yes, 4 diff.
I think that's probably your the underlying issue you're having with this is a 5 diff that doesn't do at least 5 damage.
Yeah,
like it's
and it's not even a 5 speed; it's 4 speed mid.
Mhm.
Like the stats just don't quite get there. It's so dependent on having that asset in your discard pile or in play. Because obviously, if it's in your discard pile, you can just put it into play, which is awesome. That, I mean, it does solve this problem on its own, but you have to have seen the asset already. Whereas something like specialized sound waves, sure, you don't. It's better if you have the momentum because then you can pop it and do the second effect. But it just happens on its own. Like the response to draw a card, that's just great. It's a flash attack. Also, amplified sound blast. They're just solid on their. To Matt's point, it's a 4 diff. It's a 4 speed, 4 damage.
Ryan, yeah. I mean, like Jiro, her stuff's designed a little bit more confined. Like it's a more restricted design approach because of the keywords and things like that. So her attacks, I think, the reason their stats are a little lower is because of what she does. Because they're meant to be played with her. So when you put them in other decks, the stats aren't quite what you want them to be. So the effects have to be good enough. So like I run Unwavering Slash in my all Momo deck, and it is hot. Like it's an alternate kill condition. So like I think the card does have enough generic pulls for it, but it does feel bad that it's taking up a 5 diff slot, and it's not always a kill condition. It's kind of like a 5 diff utility card, which is kind of not normally what your 5 diffs do. So I get it.
Yep. To your point, if you're playing it off Jiro, obviously it is a 5 speed, 5 damage at least.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah, so I don't think there's much else for me to speak on when it comes to her attacks. Yeah, I think we kind of hit everything. I like Amplified Sound Blast. I mean, the momentum shenanigans you can do with it are really good off of air. I don't know if they're as good off of the all and good symbol, but off of air, I mean, being able to give -2 difficulty to your charge or weapon attack. And it has a meaningful deadlock response if you ever get to that point in the game to just draw 2 cards. Yeah, 4 for 4. I like it.
Yeah, right. I do think it's worth pointing out, like specialized sound waves, the response that triggers. It says after you play this card, so it works on block.
So like, the first one,
the first one, yeah. So that's super significant. You know, like it basically replaces itself when you're playing defense on a +1 mid block. Like that's very good. I know a lot of people will look at this card and they'll be like, "This is a 2-check that doesn't end the game," which is my personal qualifier for a 2-check normally. Yeah, this one doesn't end the game, but this one does all the other stuff to help you win the game.
Yeah, it does. And if you're playing at the end of a long string of attacks with Jiro, it's a charge attack, so it gets the plus damage. So
yeah, and it's flash, so it does end games. You know, it's off zone, 4 speed printed, and if you got 4 of the cards in your card pool, this thing's coming across, you know, for 5 damage. Or I'm sorry, plus 5 damage. Yep. So 8. So yeah, no, the card is sneaky good. And you just gotta be able to play around the 2. You know.
Yep.
I mean, you can play this card with Indiscriminate Shock, too, off air, and just make them check poorly to make Indiscriminate Shock get big.
Why would you say things like that?
Throw some 3s on top of their deck, or 2s, make them tap. You know, feels good. Feels good to be playing that.
Yeah. Ryan, do you want to lead us off on Uraraka?
So, Uraraka, man, I've been in love with Home Run Comet since I've seen Home Run Comet. I love attacks like this that can fuel themselves, and it starts out with powerful 1, but counts itself immediately once you play the enhanced to be powerful 2. So a 3 high for 4 on a 4 diff with powerful 2 that generates a momentum, and it has a +1 mid block on it. It's also charge and weapon if you happen to be playing Jiro, so it's pretty strong with her. But I love this card. This card is a killer. If you get a hand with like 2 or 3 of these in it, it's very quickly the last one you throw is going to be doing a ton of damage.
Yeah, I feel like we've been big on this card since we saw it.
Yeah. Matt, what are your thoughts on Uraraka's attack lineup?
Yeah, so I think that the only attack of hers that I probably wouldn't run would be Zero Gravity Capture. And I might 1x it in a list. I've done that a couple times just for the air ability to kind of throw it into your momentum, and then I can just randomly throw 3 damage on something, you know? Like that's not nothing. But I don't love that card just in a vacuum by itself.
Wait, are you talking about zero gravity lift or capture?
Zero gravity capture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Zero gravity lift is very good. And I think Meteor Shower is very good. And I think Home Run Comet's very good. I think Meteor Shower, again, kind of like Sound Waves, is one of those cards that, like, if you're, kind of newer to the game, you look at it, you're like, I don't know, like, this doesn't seem that great. Like, again, it only does 5 damage. Why is this an ultra rare? And then you start to play it, and you kind of starts to realize how many times you're going to get to play it in the right situation and setup, and that's really cool. I know you were running this, I think, in your Kamui Woods deck, weren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Worked really well.
yeah, because adding that extra damage adds up real quick.
We've also got her 2 promo cards as well. We got Pillar Swing and Float combo. Pillar Swing is it's another great Jiro card because it has charge and weapon. It's also one of only 2 cards that has slam, which is kind of interesting. I think there's only 2 that has slam, Resist and Gutter Punk Elbow. And then Float combo, it's another one that even if it's completely attacked, still deals 1 damage, so that's pretty cool too. And it's interesting because it's got the buff where you can switch the speed and damage, so that'll be interesting to kind of see where people go with that.
I feel like Pillar Swing is it's not really a good Jiro card because you're never playing this with anything in front of it, like 90% of the time.
No,
so it's just going to be like a 4 mid for 9.
Leader. I mean, I guess you could.
You play it as your second attack.
You play it as your second attack, but you could also, with her DLC Foundation, it helps you play that attack. I am interested with Float combo because it has Death, and we've got
the Shigaraki stuff.
Not Shigaraki, the Tail Dude.
Shoji?
No.
Jiro?
Jiro, yes.
Jiro, sure.
Doesn't his ability have to do with giving something plus a billion speed?
Yeah.
So you can pump this attack speed a whole bunch and then switch it?
Could.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Make it a one-hit combo. Make it a 4 speed for a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
And Float combo is the most Shigaraki attack ever printed.
Yeah, I mean,
this thing does 6 damage no matter what a Shigaraki.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. But yeah.
But
right, I think you definitely play Pillar Swing as your second attack, but only when you have like the first day of class or whatever it is in play, because then you just have to check running 5s.
Yeah.
Which is lastly, a lot of damage.
We have Asui, and I know, Matt, you've played a good bit of Asui, so I'll let you lead off with Asui here.
Sure. So I don't like Frog Kick. I can't ever convince myself to put it in a deck. Maybe I'm sleeping on it. Maybe it's really good. But her other 3 attacks, I've put in decks countless times. And I would say Tongue Smack is probably my favorite attack that she has. Because it's a 4 diff 6/6 that draws a card with her. All right, cool. Like, to your point, it's like the opposite of what we just talked about with Unwavering Slash, right? Yeah. Where like the stats were a little too low. This one, I'm like, all right, yeah. I mean, my character's committed because I gave it speed, so now I'm going to give it some damage. And I already used my character to commit to give speed, so I cleared a card also. So I guess I'm going to draw a card, and yeah, all those things are really good on a 4 diff attack. So that would be my favorite of hers.
Okay. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Asui's attacks?
Let's see. So, her DLC ones do not have air. So
she has evil instead of air.
I guess out of those 4, so yeah, I know we talked a little bit about Frog Kick on our last pod about how it's just kind of an outlier with having the kick keyword, because none of those symbols really do anything with kicks. So, just reiterating that probably down the line, if those symbols do get kicks, this could be a pretty solid card for a kick lineup. Whenever that comes to fruition. But just off the attacks that we have here at our disposal now, Tongue Smack, like Matt said, is really good, but Frog Lashing is also a really solid card. A +1 breaker 1 block. It is a 5 diff, but it's 5 diff for 4 high for 6. But it's really
5 diff for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're playing her, it's another 6 speed attack, right? And then it does a ton of damage. It's just another big banger, big damage attack. That ready stuff and just kind of does all the things.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. Don't really have much else to add to Asui. And lastly, we do have Nitro Explosion.
Can I point out one thing about Asui, though?
Oh yeah.
So it kind of speaks to what you're saying about Frog Kick also, is that she kind of embodies this whole readying theme that air normally does, which Frog Kick does, and lashing does, which as the game goes on, like there aren't a whole lot of really great targets right now that commit to do something you want to ready. Most of it's flip or destroy kind of stuff. But as the game goes on, you may get access to some foundation that like commits to do something pretty useful. And then when you can ready it a couple times in a turn, it's very useful. So that's something to kind of, like Ryan was saying, keep on your radar. Like this mechanic is not a nothing mechanic. It might seem kind of underwhelming right now because you're readying face downs, you're readying these other things, but it's going to get better.
Yeah, and with Frog Kick, thinking about something like that, you do have like Specialist of Sound, which is a defensive card. But there'll be easier ways to discard cards from your card pool on defense later, and being able to like ready Specialist of Sound after you've already used it is pretty clutch. It's pretty powerful. Or like Sticky Balls, because this card has water on it, so getting that -4 speed or something like that would be good too.
Oh man, we forgot when we were talking about Bakugou's Nitro Explosion. He's a secret rare. I should have scrolled further down.
I was going to bring it up real quick.
Okay.
Because it's a secret rare. We do need to talk about it. This card it can blow people out. Matt, you've probably played this card more than Ryan or I, seeing as I've never played it. Thoughts on Nitro Explosion Ignition?
Yeah, so this card is so good that I changed symbol and changed my deck to try to just build around this card. Because I just think it's that cool. Off zone, fast, 4 diff, great block on it, like cool. What's really fun about it is, like we talked about earlier, I mentioned the instant explosive release. So like if your opponent doesn't block your first attack, let's say you throw, I don't know, that long lasting explosion, and then you throw a Nitro Explosion Ignition. So you're like 5/5. Cool, explosion release on another 5, and they didn't want to block the 5-speed mid that you threw first. Cool. Well, now I'm going to sit here and I'm going to get 2 momentum off of this 3 diff, and my next attack's going to clear itself, and my next attack's going to get +2 damage, and then I could give it powerful also, and like pump stuff. Like this card enables so much stuff. The thing is that you have to learn when to play it and when not to play it, as weird as that sounds. And then also, like learning how to use that remove. Sometimes you just may have to use that remove to get it out of your card pool to lower your progressive difficulty to pass that last attack, and not give a shit about the powerful 2, knowing that you're going to actually just kill them with the next attack because you didn't have enough momentum to do it with the powerful 2 anyway, but clearing that card. So like the fact it can self-clear later in your turn is really strong. Like it's this card does it all. It's worth being a secret rare. And I like this card a lot. I look forward to continuing to build with this card in mind as they move forward in sets as well.
Moving along, we'll talk about the one asset we have, the Earphone Jack, which is obviously one of Jiro's rares. I think this card is really powerful. I know it's unique, but I still think you can run like 2 or 3 of them in his deck because it has that +1 high block, which is really clutch. I've played it, I think, in every air deck I've made, and I will be honest, I forget about the second part of it and when to use it. After you can commit it to ready a foundation, which is really powerful. But I think it's just also interesting to have it kind of mill your opponent's deck. When you respond after you play attacks, I think that's pretty interesting. I played a match yesterday, and I played against Tokiyami, and I hit like 2 or 3 of his Dark Shadow Ruins in like 1 turn off Earphone Jack, and it's just brutal.
Savage.
Milling is an awful strategy that shouldn't exist in card games because no one enjoys it. Even the person doing it doesn't enjoy it.
You know what else shouldn't be in card games? Losing shouldn't exist because no one likes
losing. I don't want to lose anymore. Everyone gets a gold star.
Yes.
Do you guys have anything to say about Earphone Jack before we move on to Foundations?
It just fits like I was saying, the whole ready stuff up theme. And we're going to see some of that in the Foundations also. But like that's a very, very air mechanic, and it's just one of those things that it's really strong. Now they were smart enough to, most of these abilities that ready things say hasn't been readied this turn or this combat phase, I should say, which is very wise, because if that's not on there,
tradition.
yeah, well, even further, like when it's not on there, higher caliber or whatever you want to think of, like if it's not on there, then you just keep reading the same thing over and over and over again, and it gets really, unfair very quickly.
Yeah.
So props to Jazzco for knowing that and for making sure that these cards all say that. I think there's maybe one that lets you ready a card that's been readied already. It just says ready a card. It doesn't say ready one that hasn't been readied, if I remember correctly. But that's only one card. That's not super abusive. It's strong, but not super abusive.
All right, so moving on, foundations. First up, again, we've got Kaminari looking over his foundations. If I had to pick one that I would want to spotlight, I gotta say it's Charged Up. I think this card is ridiculous. I think people might overlook it because it's a 2/5. It's got a not great block, and it removes itself. But the ability to enable like Meteor Shower, like if you've got one Meteor Shower in your hand or something like that, and you've got one or two in your discard pile, but it's not in your momentum yet, and you're playing Kaminari, and you pop Electric Jolt, and it goes off. You're like, all right, well, boom, I can remove Charged Up Meteor Showers in my momentum now, and I'm good to go to get the combo and just loop it until I kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, what are your or do you have some, Ryan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say like, I like Charged Up for other reasons. Just it opens up so many options for you from your discard pile for really cool effects in the set so far. Because there's so many things that are playable if it's face up in your momentum that add to your momentum face up from anywhere. So it just gives you a plethora of things you can do at the cost of removing a foundation. You can get whatever effect you need at any given time, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's super toolboxy, like, and it's again probably only going to get better, right? Because they're going to still probably print more cards that say, well, adds face up and does something. To your question, John, Short Circuit would be the card I would point to. I think cards like this that do damage or speed resets right now are the best defensive cards in the set. And Short Circuit can kind of just destroy to keep you alive sometimes. It's an enhance, so you have to use it at the right time, but it's really, really strong foundation.
Ryan, did you have something other than Charged Up?
I mean, I love every single foundation he has. I find myself putting all of these in a lot of the decks that I build. Not even joking. And
they are.
I guess
They're very good.
Requesting Assistance I like quite a bit. It's another one that readies stuff up. It's it's on a flip to ready any other thing if you have momentum. So it kind of lets you, with few resources, get into a kill turn a little earlier than you might if you have a really strong early turn to get a bunch of these out.
And it's at 0 diff.
Yeah.
That spam's really good.
Good spam. All right, moving on to Bakugou. Matt, I'll let you go first as our resident Bakugou expert.
Bakugou's best foundation is encouragement. Yeah, I mean, like for him, I would definitely say, don't get me wrong, latent skills is I would say a real close second, and I'm sure Ryan will talk much more about latent skills because he loves that card. But encouragement, so when you play against Bakugou, a lot of times what you want to do is not block because then he doesn't get to clear, and then he has to kind of like sit there and play with progressive. Encouragement fixes that problem. It's also got a great block on it, so hands down the one I would encourage people to play.
Nice. Ryan, do you want to talk to us about latent skill?
Nah, man, that's not the card. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'll talk about latent skill. I love latent skill, man.
You can talk about whatever you want. That's fine.
So, I mean, just like Signature Right Swing, I mean, this card probably feels more impactful if you're playing a 6-hander, but that doesn't mean it's not good in a 7-hander.
Right.
I mean, you want to find as many. You want to find what you need to win the game, whether it be an attack or a defensive piece or an action or whatever. And it just lets you see so many extra cards that I still think that a flip cost is virtually no cost. It just is non-existent. So when I say there's no cost to the ability, I'm just talking about it's virtually no cost. It's flip, discard 2 to draw 2. I love this card. It's fantastic. And it has an off-zone +2 block that is extremely playable.
If I had to pick one, latent skill would be mine as well. I do think In Danger is interesting. I haven't played it myself, but as far as like a spam foundation to kind of, especially for like the 7-hand size characters, you're going to get into this situation, I think, a little more often than the 6-hand size characters to kind of help you, like, kind of like Short Circuit. It's just like the, oops, maybe I just don't die now.
Yeah.
Just being able to pop it and be able to block something a little bit easier.
Yeah, the problem with it is it's health claws.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times I find myself like 1 or 2 outside of whatever their attack's doing, and your opponent kind of gets to control that.
Yeah.
But it is still a spam foundation that's a 0 diff that has a playable effect. So right now, that's good enough.
Yeah.
For
I
me.
I wish it was playable while committed. I think that would put it over
Yeah.
the top.
Or if it was a flip,
Yeah,
Not a
like,
destroy. Yeah.
yeah, why's that not a flip? Like,
yeah. But then I guess if honorable mentions, I think capabilities is very strong. It enables all your fury attacks to get real
Maybe
scary.
kill them. Yeah.
Yeah, +2 speed and +5 damage ain't no joke.
Yep.
right?
The downside of the card is it's got an unplayable block at +4.
Yeah, and it's a 3 diff, so
Yeah, just accept your death if you're trying to block with that.
Moving on to Jiro. I feel like she's only got 3 because she's got the asset, as we mentioned. I feel like for all 3 of us, it's gonna be Specialist of Sound. Like that's just her best foundation. No, it's not.
Destined for Mainstream Success is super good too.
Okay. Talk to me
Like-
about Destined for Mainstream Success.
So its interaction, not off of air, but with
Mhm.
celebrity status, is nuts. 2 flips to recur any attack from your momentum. This lets you go and basically play with the peak rule. So you always just name attack, because that's just gonna be the worst checks in your deck. You flip it over. If it's an attack, cool, I just drew a free attack. If I didn't, cool, I know that I'm not gonna check an attack. I can proceed to do what I need to do. Like I Specialist of Sound is good, but Destined for Mainstream Success is always good. Like it's good on offense and on defense. Whereas Specialist of Sound is only good on defense. So I would put Destined for Mainstream Success as my favorite.
Yeah, I think. I think both of these cards are going into every air deck you're building. To be fair,
I think all 3 of these cards go into every air deck that I build. Like plug in,
Yeah.
maybe sometimes gets cut, but the
Yeah,
other 2,
yeah.
absolutely.
Like Specialist of Sound and Destined for Mainstream Success are auto includes, I think, in air. And plug in is definitely still playable. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Like I think I'm with John that I think Specialist of Sound is probably my favorite one, just because of how strong to have a -3 speed on a stick is that you can use every turn. But hey, you don't have to sell me on Destined for Mainstream Success. I love it. If I could say the name of the card.
They're both super good. Like I said, all her stuff, like her whole kit's good, and that's why she's such a strong character.
All right. Moving on, Ryan, you want to talk to us about some Uraraka foundations?
Yeah, man. So, I think out of these, I probably don't respect Encouraging Training Partner as much as I should with the speed reset that it has on it. But when I go to actually pick one of these, I like Wealthy Aspirations a lot because for me personally, I like to do a lot of stuff, momentum shenanigans. So anything that lets me get more momentum for free, I'm a pretty big fan of. Even if it's unique that has a +1 low block, so it's still playable even if you draw multiples of them. Because people are trying to get at you with these low attacks all the time these days. So, Wealthy Aspirations is probably going to be up there for me.
For myself, I think I would lean towards Release. It is a 4 check on a 0 diff, which does hurt. But just speaking of cards that like, hey, I don't die now. Like that's Release goes a long way for helping you stay alive and maintain maybe for that one more turn, so you can get back in there and kill your opponent. Matt, do you have anything to add to Uraraka?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting to see that Uraraka's whole foundation base is largely defensive. Like 3 out of the 4 are just defensive cards. I agree with you. I think Release is probably the one that's generically the best. Like it's a very defensive card. But Encouraging Training Partner is one that I would say I kind of slept on because I was like 4 speed's still a lot of speed. But then you sit down from like a Recipro Burst that's like coming across for like 15 plus speed, and you're like, yeah, I'll flip a card to put it back to 4 and block this. Like
4 is not so bad.
Yeah, and then even further, you can reduce it down further from 4. So I think that card's sneaky good. Like I said earlier, I think the resets in the set are the best defensive cards. So I would point people towards that. I'm not going to use my encouragement pun again.
You already did.
And,
I know. I can't do it twice. It's not. Oh wait.
And we've also got from the DLC, we've got First Day of Class, which I think is going to be another one of like, if you're playing any of these symbols, you're gonna probably auto include it. I think we're all pretty excited for this card to come out.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I think
wrapping up. Or go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I was gonna say I think that this is another card that they kind of designed around reading shenanigans, just by making it only usable like on your first attack.
Yeah.
So I think that they've done a good job planning some of these cards so we don't do busted things.
And it says the first attack.
Yeah.
It doesn't say your first attack. So like and it doesn't matter because there's no reversals in the game. But if there ever are reversals, keep an eye on this card.
Yeah.
Or if you're playing it in UFS standard or legacy or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
And standard, this card does more for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Moving along.
Asui?
Then, yeah, I was gonna say wrapping up our air foundation discussion is Asui. Matt, you want to get started with as our resident Asui player?
Yeah, I think just general approach again, her foundations are pretty defensive, but rescue complete. This card is just very good. It makes all your other cards better, gives them another ability where they can either add or reduce speed. Again, got a low block on it that keeps coming up, right? Just happens to be on really good cards within air. And then it also can just destroy to ready up some things to let you push even further. So I would say that's probably her best foundation, but the others are not far behind it.
Yeah, I would tend to agree, especially in Asui where you are, as a theme, flipping a lot of cards face down. And as to Ryan's point, flipping is not a cost. It's especially not a cost when you've got a card like Rescue Completed that gives them additional functionality as a just blank card, because you don't care about committing a blank card. It does nothing.
Right.
I would have to agree with Rescue Completed. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I also love Rescue Completed, but just for the sake of diversity here, I think Amphibious is one of the best spams in the game. If you're doing anything at all with moving stuff out of your card pool, if you're not in that niche though, Walkling I think is becoming more and more main deckable. The more we see, like you probably are not main decking 4 of them. You probably put a couple in the main just for to be prepared for situations so you don't auto lose to some things. But it's still a 4-check. It's still got a +3 block, but it is like the sideboard king though. You put it in, bring it in to just save your damn life, especially with Plus Ultra coming out. Like this card is going to see more and more play.
Yeah, like Walking plus Ultra combo is the best blocks in the game. Like block anything on a 5, well, plus progressive, but probably a 5, and take no damage. Like I was going to say, like I wanted to make sure we talked about Walking, but I just don't think it's actually her best one because of that 4-check. Whereas like Rescue Completed, you got to convince me not to play it. So.
Yeah.
And I think she's another character where her whole foundation kit is nice, because even Observant Student's a pretty good card.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not doing anything busted, but it does have a deadlock enhancement. Even the flip to look at your top card works with Destined for Mainstream Success if you want to draw a card. And it has a +1 low block on it, so it's solid.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the overarching theme with Air is just, man, it's really solid. Really, like everything about it I think is far above average, like the good bordering on great as an overall foundation.
Yeah, I think the foundation base in particular is one of the best right now, just in this very limited environment. It is definitely up there.
It's very defensive, and it's also can ready itself up, so like that kind of gives it an offensive element. So I think the best air decks, points to Jiro, are the ones that can compensate and be good offensive characters. So like you just want to run a solid attack lineup and then a character who kind of makes it better. And then the foundation base takes care of itself. Like you can survive just off your foundation base and, readying your specialist of sounds or other things like that. So for sure, I think it's a really solid symbol. Probably in the top, 4 or 5? I don't know, maybe top 3. I don't know. I haven't done a symbol breakdown yet. Do what?
I
was saying I'd put it up in top 3.
Yeah, I would solidly drop it in the top 3.
Okay. I definitely think it's top 5. I would have to stop and really think hard about it. And you guys talk about these a lot more than I do. So
if I did like just off the top of my head, top 3, no particular order, I'd say good, air, and then maybe fire or void, just because of how strong the void eraser.
Yeah.
I would definitely have fire and air up there. I don't know where else I go from there though.
But maybe after we've done all these, maybe we'll do a wrap up and talk about the symbols as a whole. But that is going to do it for our air discussion today. I'm trying to think. We should have a deck breakdown coming out along with this, maybe the day after or so. We'll pick an air character and we'll put a deck profile out. I think Matt, you're working on those for us now, right?
Yeah, we'll definitely have an air list of some sort. Probably, probably Dinky if I were to guess, because I really like him off of air right now. But
the inside scoop for the podcast listeners, they know what articles come in a day sooner.
We'll see what happens, little spice, little something, little sizzle.
Yeah, he's gonna put out like an Uraraka DLC article.
Yeah,
be like, I lied to you.
Got him. It's a Bakugou list. Who knew?
Let's see. I guess we have to figure out because we only got 2 symbols left, right?
We have 2
They're
symbols
knife
left.
fighting. Knife fighting at this point. Just
how do we want to determine this last symbol?
I've got a coin right here. We're gonna flip it up. We're gonna switch it up on Ryan.
what 2 do you have left?
Life and
The other symbol.
Something good. Life and good. The
So
good
you're
life.
talking about Midoriya.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. Heads, it's good. Tails, it's life. What's it gonna be?
Heads.
Oh, Joey ate it.
It's heads.
All right, I did it. 50-50, baby. I'm good at calling coin tosses.
Hey,
So we're doing good.
Doing good. Yeah, we are. Doing good.
yeah, doing good. It's all good.
Oh, Joe, you're not on the mic. Jeez.
So then that means life will be the final episode.
Yeah.
That will be the final.
We're gonna end life.
Yeah. End life.
Good. We get to talk about Hiroshima again next week.
Yay.
Yeah.
For the first time in a long time.
Yeah. All right. What else do we have going on? Trying to think. What else do we have? Anything?
No, it's been a quiet front, or quiet time on all fronts. I was trying to say. There's not really any tournaments going on. We still got our articles coming out on the website on Wednesdays. Those are coming out on the uvsacademy.wordpress.com or on our Facebook page. You get the links there. But outside of that, I mean, I think we're still trying to get our streaming game together on Thursdays, but that is a matter of us getting coordinated where 2 of us feel like doing it on any given night.
And actually being awake past 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and something worth, I guess, kind of floating out there is that if you're enjoying, our podcast and our other content and all, keep your eyes peeled. We are going to be launching a Patreon, trying to get our community some extra perks and things like that. So that'll be coming hopefully by the end of the year, maybe to start off 2022. But we'll have more information about that, at some point in time in between now and then as well. So if you're enjoying it and if you want to make sure to, support and kind of make sure that we're able to do some other stuff and get some bonus content in exchange, then keep your eyes out for that. We created the page. We just have to do all the other stuff with it. So it'll be a minute.
Yeah. Trust me.
Hopefully
you get that behind the scenes talk the talk that we do before we record.
Right.
It's very insightful.
Not safe for work. No.
Yeah. Well, and with that, we're hoping to kind of try to make some other merch or other things like that, and have other perks and things that our Patreons can get access to. So, I mean, we're here for the long haul, and we're gonna keep doing what we do, and we hope you enjoy it, and we appreciate all the support that we've gotten from you guys so far. Had a lot of really positive interactions with a lot of people that some I know, some I don't know. They just know us through the website and all, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully next week I'll have my sweet new playmat in to show off. I have nothing right now, but it'll be right here. I'll be showing it to you.
It's gonna crop it in. Just go back in and actually crop the image from where you made it and order it right there.
Yeah.
Just move it around.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week. We appreciate you guys listening. I am John Jennings, and for Ryan Kraft and Matt Childress, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for stopping by.
See you guys
later.